Good morning, students. Today we will start the first chapter of history, that is changes through 1,000 years. Our Indian history is divided into three parts: ancient, medieval, and modern. We have already discussed about ancient history in our class 6. In this class, that is 7th, we will discuss about medieval history, and in your senior classes we will discuss about modern history. So let's start with the chapter. So this division of history shows the time duration covered by each of these periods. For example, ancient period. The ancient period covers the entire period from Stone Age to the 7th century. If we talk about medieval period, that is 800 CE to 1800 CE, covers a period of 1,000 years. And if we talk about modern period, it covers the period from 19th century and continues till date. So let's see how medieval period shaped the history of Indian subcontinent from 800 CE to 1800 CE. Now moving ahead, let's discuss from regions to empires. In this, we will discuss about the causes for the transition from regional kingdoms to great empires in the Indian subcontinent during the period between 800 CE to 1800 CE. So several regional kingdoms rose throughout the Indian subcontinent after the death of Harshvardhan in 646 CE. Now the question arises, who was Harshvardhan? Harshvardhan was an Indian emperor who ruled North India from 606 CE to 646 CE. He was a member of Vardhana dynasty. Some major regional kingdoms fought for the power, but none of them could succeed. And it was followed by the Turkish invasion of India. Muhammad Ghazni was the first Turkish conqueror of North India. He attacked India 17 times between 1000 and 1027 AD. He made all the raids in the guise of jihad. First invasion was in 1001 AD. The medieval period saw rise and fall of many great empires. By 700 AD, the Indian subcontinent was divided into many separate regions with distinct language and cultures. If we talk about 13th century saw the beginning of the rule of Turkish and Afghan Sultan. And these sultans used to rule from Delhi, and they were called as, and that period was called as Sultanate period. If we talk about 16th century, this phase of medieval history was known as Mughal period. The Mughals replaced the Sultans of Delhi. With the decline of the Mughals at the beginning of 18th century, a subcontinent was again broken into a number of regional kingdoms. Now let's come to the new topic, new terms for India. Today we call India as India or Hindustan. But during the ancient period, the Indian subcontinent was called by many names, and the most important of these were Aryavrat, Bharatvarsha, and Jambudvipa. Greek called it Inde, Chinese called it Yen, Tu or Ten, Chu. Turks and Afghans called it Hindustan, Arabs called it Hind. But it is important to remember that this term during that time covered areas only around Delhi rather than the entire country. Minhaj us Siraj used the term Hindustan for the areas of Punjab, Haryana, and the lands between the Ganga and Yamuna under the Delhi Sultanate. Amir Khusro used the word Hind, perhaps because the area of North India were next to Sindh where the Indus River flows. But Babur, the founder of the Mughal dynasty, used this term in the 16th century to describe the geography of the subcontinent and the culture of the people. Economic changes. It was a period of great mobility. Groups of people traveled long distance in search of opportunity. This subcontinent held immense wealth and the possibility for people to carve a fortune. At different moments in this period, new technologies made their appearance, like the Persian wheel in irrigation, the spinning wheel in weaving, and firearms in combat. Spinning wheel in weaving and more animals and weapons in combat brought about many changes in the lives of many people in a very short time. Just as it was happening all over the world, new food and beverages such as potatoes, corn, chilies, tea, and coffees were brought to the Indian subcontinent. Now, if we talk about the growth of agriculture, it was only possible by clearing the forest. And as a result, communities of people who lived in the forest were driven out of their homelands. And a society soon formed where caste or jati became important. They had its own rules and it decided the behavior of its member through the Jati Panchayat. Now, new regional divisions and religious traditions came into existence by 700 CE. They are Cholas, Tughlaq dynasty, Mughal Empire. We will read about these dynasties in our later chapters. Now, different new religious traditions also came into existence. For example, Hinduism, Islam, Holy Quran, and Sufism. And they all have their rules and different traditions to preach God. Now, let's talk about the sources of history. Major sources of medieval period in India can be divided into archaeological source and literary source. Archaeological source are direct evidence they cannot be hanged by human. This tells us about history. If we talk about literary source, a literary source is anything that has been written that you cite as your source material. For example, monument, art craft, coins, inscriptions, and religious or secular. As we have seen before, archaeological sources include coin and artifacts, monuments and building. Different kinds of coins were issued by different rulers in the medieval period like Jital, Tanka, Rupaya, etc. And different monuments and buildings were built during the medieval period. In 8th and 13th century, different temples dedicated to different gods were built by different rulers like Gujra, Pratihara, Pala rulers, Rashtrakuta, etc. And different mosques and mausoleums were built by Sultanate and Mughals in different styles across the Indian subcontinent. And literary sources contain inscriptions and edicts and chronicle accounts and other literary sources. These are some of the examples of literary sources like Baburnama, Akbarnama, Humayun. Now, how are these sources useful? How archaeological sources are useful? The archaeological source played an important role in constructing or reconstructing the history of a region. The archaeological source enhanced our knowledge about our past and also provided important materials which could not be obtained otherwise. Now, how literary sources are useful? The literary sources are useful because they provide detailed information on the objects and events of the past. People used it to write holy text, chronicles of rulers, letters and teaching of sons, petition and judicial record and for registers of the account and taxes. And as there were no printing press, so scribes copied manuscripts and these records give a lot of invaluable information about their rulers, their dynasty, policy, techniques of warfare, etc. Now let's see some of the important places and regions of the Indian subcontinent. You can refer your book to mark 5 towns and 5 kingdoms of the Indian subcontinent like Malwa, Vaina, Mathura, Delhi, Kannauj, etc. So students, now let's revise some of the important points of the chapter. History has been divided into 3 periods: ancient, medieval and modern. Major historical sources of the medieval period in India can be divided into archaeological and literary sources. Persian wheel in irrigation and the spinning wheel in weaving increased economic development. The term Hind term became popular from the book Tahqiq-i-Hind. Number of Mughal sources available are Humayun-Nama by Gulbadan Begum, Akbar-Nama by Abul Fazl, etc. Potato, chilies, coffee are the new food and beverages that were introduced in India during the medieval period. So students, I hope you have understood the chapter. Now it's time for some brainstorming exercise. Which period is referred to as the medieval period? What are the major sources of the medieval period? And what Arabs used to call India during the ancient period? So students, give me the answers of these questions in the comment section below. Thank you and have a good day.